So this brings us to the grand closing. The top 5 players that are similar to LeBron, according to Jxmyhighroller. So coming in at number 5 is Luka Doncic with a similarity score of 76.23%. So I guess
That's fine.
I don't like it.
I have no issue.
I think there's certain things he excels at. There's certain things he lacks at that, in comparison to LeBron. I think the playmaking's there. I think the domination's there. The defense is certainly not there.
Yeah.
So, and the frame's not there either.
Yeah. I think that's huge, though.
Okay, very fair.
I think-
Keep in mind, Luka's only 25.
I think
So
the frame is huge in terms of weighing a player, like how comparable they are. The
Right.
frame is a huge part of that.
what's fair?
I think that should have more weight than
I
something
wouldn't
like
say it's a huge difference. I mean,
dominance
Luka's
or whatever.
6'7". He's got a pretty decent wingspan. He just weighs a lot more.
yeah.
So, Luka Doncic in 5th. Coming in 4th place with a similarity score of 76.39% is Nikola Jokic.
Wow.
That's fine.
So, frame aside, I think in any other category, he kind of was just outside the top 5 in a lot of them. Obviously, dominance was the main driving factor here. I think the playmaking, the usage and creation is something he does a lot, especially in the half-court sets, offensively, defensively, all that stuff. So, Joker, there any issues, any qualms?
No.
No?
No, yeah.
Pretty fair, pretty standard?
Yeah.
Coming in 3rd place with a similarity score of 78% is Kevin Durant.
That's perfectly
I
fine.
think been the most comparable to LeBron over the years, I guess, being one of the faces of the league.
Yeah.
I don't have any issues with it so far.
No?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Do you?
Everything's
No,
fine.
I'm good.
You good?
Yeah, everything is fine.
I was
All right.
wondering about Anthony, though.
Yeah, he seems questioning himself.
Yeah.
I think everything's fine. I'm still shocked at how the number 1 person got it, but go ahead.
Okay. We move into the runner-up with a similarity score of 79.34%
Russell
is
Westbrook.
Giannis Antetokounmpo. So another player you can easily make the comparison with as
Yeah.
far as the frame, even though he's a little bit taller. The frame and the wingspan are there.
The dominance.
The usage and creation.
I think he gets to 1 by the time his career is over.
Well, I don't know because Giannis is only going to get better, maybe, but it's
I
about.
even think KD goes up 1 spot too.
Well, it's not even about getting better. It's just about who's more similar to LeBron's
Right.
stats.
Yeah.
So it really is predicated on what LeBron does in the next 2 or 3 years if he's still in the league by then.
Yeah.
But this brings us into number 1 with a similarity score of 80.81%. Only a 1% difference between him and Jimmy Butler, or him and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and it's Jimmy Butler.
Wow, that was the most anticlimactic way to give it away.
Him and Jimmy Butler. That was it.
Yes, Jimmy Butler is number 1
Yes.
on this list.
Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy Buckets, the man we talked about last week. Yeah.
I
Yes.
see it, but I don't understand it.
Well, I could read you through his full scores.
Do it.
So for stature, 86.8%. These are all similarity scores. Usage and creation, 61.4%. Shooting and tendencies, 87.2%. Portability, 78%. Passing, 79.5%. Defense, 80.8%. Athleticism, 92.9%. Dominance, 61.9%. Shooting ability, 92.5%. And the play style, 87.1%.
Yeah, he has everything in the higher 80s to early 90s, and then 2 really bad 60s,
Yeah. More
which
consistent.
averages it out.
Across the board. But what do we think? I'm going to give the floor to you guys because I need to rest my voice for a little bit. Do you agree, disagree, and why?
I disagree with the way the list was put together. I like it. It's actually a fascinating idea. That's no wonder why it's going viral, right? But the one thing I disagree with is the weight of the different categories. Like I would put more emphasis on things that LeBron does that stands out about him, like his athleticism
Yeah.
and his frame. Those things I would put more emphasis on.
That's fair.
Also, I would even put durability in there as a category. Like how many times he gets it, because LeBron doesn't get injured.
Yeah.
So that's like a key attribute of his. I would also put more emphasis on maybe like play style, because he's when he came into the league, at least he was kind of like the first of his kind point forward type player, very ball dominant. He's 6'9", 250.
Yeah.
So I would put emphasis on that. And so like I would just weigh the different categories, weigh them differently.
Okay.
Like something like
That's fair.
something like shot. What was it? Like
Shot creation.
where they shoot from or something like that.
Yeah.
That one I wouldn't put that much emphasis on. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you don't really see that.
But shot selection is so important with LeBron, though. It's the type of shots he takes in big moments that defines who he is.
Was this about big moments or was this about overall?
Just overall. But those overall moments could be big moments. Because it's a really important aspect of it. What type of shots you take.
Okay, I get it, but I would just put less weight on that
Okay.
category rather than athleticism or whatever, IQ, durability, stuff like that. You know.
Right. What about you, Antoine?
The top 5 I have no issue with. I think if I were to name off 5 guys that are closer to LeBron, definitely Jokic and Luka and Giannis. KD's probably going to be there, but towards the back end 5 because he's on the older side right now.
Right.
But I don't think Jimmy would even be in that top 5. Maybe being top 8. I mean, I see it. I understand it. Like playoff wise, he's a different person, different player.
Yeah.
Regular season wise, it's a different story. He's great. I would love him on any team. I think if he were to go to the Nets next year, he'd make that team significantly better.
Yeah.
But
You know, another way I would judge this is because players can have like great seasons and then they can have seasons where they just completely fall off. For
Right.
example, like Russell Westbrook, he was a top 5 NBA player for like 5 straight seasons and then all of a sudden drops off completely and maybe not even top 100.
Do you think like longevity should
Longevity should be factored in as well.
Like games played and
Yeah.
minutes or
yeah,
Right.
Right.
Like even like you can judge it based off of a player's peak. So like
Right.
a player at their best, because all the other stats, like when they're not at their best, like that doesn't really matter to me personally.
Right. That's
So
fair.
if those stats weigh in and they bring a player's rating down,
Yeah.
I like it seems unfair.
I get it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's very
yeah,
fair.
yeah. But it's interesting. You know, Jimmy showed a heat map of every stat, and Jimmy kind of filled out the entire circle pretty well compared to everybody else. Jokic kind of had the circle for that. He also had some gaps in between that went inwards, meaning that they were not as great. Jimmy was the only one that somewhat filled out that circle almost entirely.
Yeah.
So I understand that based off of that, which is how he's number 1. I think Gio, definitely agree with Gio. You could definitely incorporate different stats that were not the ones he used. Would it change? Possibly. Would it affect it? Yeah. I mean, I think Jimmy would still be pretty high because he's probably going to be good at all of those as well.
Yeah.
Considering the ones he already has on here as well. Maybe you have Giannis jump up the one spot. Depends, you know. But
Jimmy doesn't play games.
I understand that, but Jimmy also is a dog when he's on the court. You know.
So you would have dog as a category?
Yeah, Jimmy's a dog.
How do you measure that? Though?
How do you measure dog?
Can't measure
No,
dog.
but he's built different and times.
Built different as a category.
Yeah.
How do you measure that?
If he wasn't on the Miami team, I think that Miami team would be in purgatory right now.
Okay.
Okay.
I think
I guess.
he single-handedly. I mean, Bam would be there, but it would be purgatory. They
That's
would
fair.
not be probably close to playing.
Okay.
I think Jimmy saves that team from a lot of bad games and a lot of just Spoelstra's job, including himself.
Yeah.
I think he helps Spoelstra a lot. But like you said, he's going to stay on the court more. I also think they just have. I don't know if Hero and Bam would get it done. It depends. We don't know. But Jimmy is, I think, right now what is bringing that team up a little bit, and they're going to move on from him after this season. And we'll see what happens if that team takes a complete 360 and goes down, stays the same. We'll see how much impact he has on that team in his time there. But I think he's worthy of it. I see definitely a lot of tendencies of LeBron in him.
Yeah. He passes the eye test.
I think so. He's on the shorter side, of course, but I think dominantly he is that. He has the shot selection. He has the durability, of course, would not be there. That's something that would not be with LeBron. LeBron has been injured for a whole season probably in his entire career, off the top of my head.
He's never had a long-term injury.
Yeah, which is
So.
it's fascinating in its own mind. It's probably just how the conditioning he does.
Right.
But yeah, it was a fascinating video. It's funny that Jimmy is number 1 in Jimmy's video. We should have seen it
Bias.
coming.
Bias is crazy.
But no, it was a great thing. It's a great video, great concept. I'm interested
Yeah,
to see.
shout out Jxmy.
I'm interested.
shout out Jxmy,
I'm
I
interested
understand
to see if he does any type of different system to figure this out. That's maybe a little easier on the eyes for us. Maybe a simpler version, but with things like this, it's always going to be complex.
Yeah,
to get to that one person. But
And it took a lot of
nonetheless,
research.
it was a very much enjoyable video. I think the outcome, like you said, was not what we were going to expect. But I don't think it shocked us where we're like, okay, this is completely wrong.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, we kind of
Yeah.
saw it. I'm like, okay,
Reasonable.
It's reasonable.
Yeah.
It's
'Cause
not the
remember,
first person that we would think.
it's not the eye test. It's all about the numbers here because he just
Yeah.
did it purely on stats. So
Correct.
I do see the similarities between the two of them.
I do.
And it's just obviously it's hard to say it because LeBron's on such a whole other level than Jimmy Butler. But
Yeah.
I guess when it just comes down to play style, maybe your NBA doppelganger is not who you think it is. And I
Yeah.
guess that's
Yeah.
kind of the moral of the story here.